is so random, but I'll just say it anyway.
Okay.
A lot of ideologies, mythologies, theologies even, they came because one person thought about something and then sat with another person and then they said, oh, so this is the way things are supposed to be done. When I was younger, I think in high school, I used to love geography and history because, those are the times where there's a part that they talk about, how the world came to be. It was like, for example, the Plato era, then there was the Agrarian Revolution, I don't know what not.
Yeah.
But when you hear like during the Plato era, I liked that the most because like Greeks will come somewhere, meet somewhere in like a castles, and then they start talking about, have you thought about this math, by the way? At 1 + 1 is 2. No, it's 4. No, the other one is 6. No, it's 7, By the time they'll come and say plus means addition or I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that they talked about maths, but I'm just giving an example of, how much sharing of ideas help in evolution of abstract things. I don't think anyone can be able to develop an abstract idea by themselves. You always have to interact with someone so that you can be able to test, or somebody can be able to disprove or approve and say, oh, by the way, it makes a lot of sense exactly what you're saying. And I think it's just the same way. Everything to me, religion, anything in the world that we do have right now has to stem out of connection. Be it connection with a human being, connection with the earth, connection with animals. There must be some connection at some point. So that's why I see it as a value, and I see it as something that's very, very important. And if you want to learn about something, you must connect to it before you learn about it. So there is no way you can, try and call yourself, even those people who are exploring, like for example, places and etc. They had to, connect to the fact that there is this other kind of a world. It looks like this. They'll even imagine, they'll draw maps. Like for example, the Pirates of Caribbean, for example.
Oh my god.
Like you said, it's so random. Like the way the main character would, speak to his whole crew and tell them, there is this place I've heard of, and this place has this particular type of treasure. There was this old man who died, and kept the treasure on the cave. And this is where I would find it, and everything else. You see, the connection with the perception of the world that looks like that was something that was more of like a theory that they developed, an abstract idea that they developed. Actually, they exist, it's true. It even became like, a very serious thing amongst the pirates, and every pirate is looking for that particular treasure. That could not stem if that person thought by their own, because they would talk. If they don't share, it wouldn't be known. Something that's shared is known, and that's the only way on how communication is being done, especially in the world. If you don't share it with someone wouldn't know about it. And I know right now they will use the aspect, oh, but we have social media. But you see, social media was also developed by a human. So it forms. It's just like a tool that's now used. Initially, before they didn't have that, they used other methods as well. But I just think that it's just one of the things of knowledge sharing. Connection is part of knowledge sharing.
Yeah. And also connection is heavy, and I also look at it as a collaboration. And this is where I'm saying that I don't believe like someone can be used, and having that mentality, I feel like it's a victim mentality. Any point in life you feel like you've been used, because I feel like even that aspect of being used, that environment that you kind of felt like you are being used, if you had to open your eyes, like I feel like maybe there are some people who are tied to, like for every experience, maybe there must be a material gain, which can be money, or maybe approval, or maybe like they need tangible evidence that they benefited from an experience. And to be honest, I'm going to implement like what you are doing, I'm going to, and that is why I see also human interaction as a collaboration. We don't have like to partner on a big project for me to be evident now, like, but the conversation I'm having with you, the way you are purpose oriented, there are some values that I would also want to implement in my life. And sometimes that is enough. And that is why social currency is a thing. That is,
Yeah,
yeah, it is a thing. Yeah. That is why, like, sometimes just being in the presence of some other people, if you are present authentically and you just be in the moment, you'll be able to benefit, like, yeah, magnificently. You'll be able to benefit. But now, yeah, and that is why I see it as a collaboration. So at any point in life I engage with someone or we do something with someone, I like, either I benefit outwardly, or but I always like make sure I benefit out of it, and I expect them to do the same, because I believe like I do have some things to offer, and they always have something to offer. They might not know, but we always have something to offer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank God you see it as a connection. Yeah, we need that connection, and yeah, and collaboration, because also the main reason everything is a collaboration. There is nothing new under the sun. So collaboration in terms of, okay, something, the way even podcast came to life. Podcast wasn't podcast where people were having conversation. It started with, now, okay, musician had music, maybe musician had music, and they wanted it to be put somewhere, and maybe they wanted someone maybe to introduce it, and someone who was introducing it thought about how, before I introduce it, I include people, we have a conversation about the music. And then after that, it reached a point where people were like, but we don't have to be talking about the music or the news, about we just tell stories. And yeah, and maybe it led to podcasts. And this was collaboration of different experiences, because even the modern day camper, the way it was at first, I used to have like picnic setup whereby we just go and have like a picnic experience with a guest. So we have a conversation there. But it was emanating from a good experience I had on a picnic. And I thought, like, this is a good experience. If it was to be captured, it will be something else. Then with that, it ended up to be something like this. And maybe after this collaboration, it's going to be something else. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, humans had value to our lives in different way, and I always believe after this, honestly, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be very tired, but what I know is, like, I've really absorbed a lot from you. That is why I know I will be tired. I'll rest, but I know, like, it was a very, very good, profound learning experience, and it wasn't maybe through. It was just a power of storytelling, and to be honest, I've gotten a lot, and
Oh, yay!
yeah,
Happy.
yeah.
Speaking of, connection and value of connection, I've also seen through observation is that, of course, beautiful art. So I
Okay.
believe we connect to art.
Uh-huh.
I have seen your podcast before. I've listened to a couple of them, and I
Thank
think
you.
there's one of the series that you're talking about mental health and art.
Uh-huh.
And now I have a couple of questions in you regarding to that, if you don't mind me asking you.
I mind. I'm playing.
You mind? Oh my lord! So that means I can't ask
I'm
if you
playing.
mind.
I am playing. Okay.
Yeah. So the thing is, I know art is a form of expression,
Mhm.
and how it has been viewed in the past is, the way an artist would think about something and probably decide to, express it through form of either drawing or
Mhm.
painting or singing or playing a musical instrument or something of the sort.
Mhm.
And the thing of how it has adapted over the years is now it has become a platform where people express themselves.
Mhm.
So my question to you concerning it is, how is this redefining mental health in your own perspective
In
and
my
in your
own
own experiences, considering that you're an artist?
artist. Okay. Am I an artist? Yes.
Yes, you are.
I am an
Artist.
artist. Yeah.
Definitely, you are.
Yeah. I am an artist. I've done art like for a period of like 1 year.
Oh.
Yeah, I've done art like for a period, like consistently for a period of 1 year. And the main reason art saved me. I will say art saved my life.
Do tell.
Yeah.
How did it feel like?
I was going through. I'm waiting to succeed. I share this story. Yeah, I'm waiting to succeed. I share the story to make sense. Then now it can't motivate people. But
you know that's a lie. It's not true. It's not true at all.
But it is like, to be honest, if Denzel Washington was sharing his struggle today and a street person was sharing his story today, I would connect to them and they will be impactful. But the one that will be very motivating, it's for Denzel Washington. True or false?
No, I didn't. I deny that. And the reason that I deny is that I think that at every stage of life, whatever you share with someone, especially something that comes from an experience, whether somebody who's really up the ladder or somebody who's in between or down, they still, if they're careful enough, they're able to capture something that they can learn from this particular person. So that's what I totally believe in. I still believe that stories are impactful at whatever level they're being told. Yeah, because that's the best opportune moment that you can be able to share that story in the best way possible. So let me give an example.
Okay,
right now,
before you give me an example, which one will sell? Which one will sell
you're
more?
still on the which one will sell more. Of course, it will sell more because you have more fame and people will get to know you, so it will reach more people. And of course, everybody's on the lookout and the paparazzi and everything. So of course, they will be like, "Oh yeah, Martin, indeed."
I want to be like Martin. Okay, you have to give me an example.
Yeah, so I was to give an example of an opportune moment and the importance of sharing stories at the opportune moment. So the thing is that your mind changes. We have short-term memories and long-term memories.
Yeah.
And you see, how you tell a story 10 years from now is not the same way you'll tell the story right now.
That's true.
And it's not the same way you'll tell the story while you are going through it. Because I believe there's a time you are going through it. Right now, you're not.
I'm not. And then there are things which were so heavy and making sense then.
Yeah.
Now they are not.
Right now, they're not making sense. So it's all a matter of perspective and how that has changed throughout. Story may remain the same, but how do I say?
The connection with it.
Yes, there's that part, but the content of what you would want to share is what you can change with time. Yeah. Or how you reflect things at the time may be different on how you'll reflect it 10 years from now. So of course, right now, the reflection is saved you. Maybe 10 years from now, it was my, what's the word I can use? This one was my savior. The next time, art is my world. For example, 10 years from now, art is my world. So maybe I'm just giving good things up beside it. So let's say with all the, business that you're thinking about, especially when it comes to health, mental health and art, and then, you end up driving, you end up, going on conversations either in conferences or outside the world, just talking about the way that. So as far much as it was your savior, now it's more of your world because now technically it's your expertise, it's your skill, it's your everything. So stories change according to the dynamics and the perspective that you're in at the current moment. So there is an importance of sharing within that moment because you don't know, maybe somebody needed to hear that particular message at that time, that opportune level, with the message being portrayed as it was at the time. Yeah. So I believe every storytelling has a value.
Yeah.
So none. I can't say that none is. Just because a story has spread to so many people doesn't mean it will be impactful to them. You know that, right?
Oh, it doesn't mean it will be impactful.
Yeah, just because it reaches so many people doesn't mean that it will be impactful to all of them. Yeah, so you can have maybe a shorter audience or a smaller audience, but then you find out that out of the smaller audience, maybe you are able to touch 90% of that particular audience. So another reflection question to you would be, what matters to you more, numbers or impact in storytelling?
It's impact, well, but she's a lawyer.
No,
I almost got convinced to say the story, but guys, you'll read it in my book. I will write the story in my book.
So that's what I'm asking, is it part and parcel of what you wanted to write in your book?
I'm gonna share it in my book. Yeah, and Martin is
I'm looking
honest
forward to see that
to see that book.
because
Yeah, I had
can't wait to read it.
earlier. This was my intention. I wanted like let me say, okay, the project that I'm working on currently was to be able to scale modern day camphor and put it in a certain space. Then after putting it in that space whereby I can just like sit down on this book. I know I can write this book with still working on my bills and everything, but I wanted it to be in a very, there are those things, there are those like that part will be in the book. But there are those things, but kuna other things that I would really wanted to be so intentional and very consistent with until I finish the book. So for that reason, it is kind of, that is the only pending project I would say. But back to the question you asked, how do I connect mental health with art? So I will just say on a surface level, like that was an experience in life that I had every reason like to give up on life. Like it was like after the struggles I've done for years, I kind of felt like now something was being taken, not acknowledging like I've been there, and it was giving me a certain image that something that I've been working against for like whole of my life, and that was the image it was creating. So the way art came to my life, it came in a very funny way. Like I met someone in a matatu, they introduced me to an event, and they were not showing up in the event, but I still went to that event that I was just introduced, and I was just curious to see like what will happen. And when I was going there, I went as I wanted to model, you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wanted to model. Then when I arrived earlier, and this was amongst the first serious thing was happening to me in Nairobi. Whereby you're showing up in a serious thing was an event. That was one of my serious things. So I went there earlier. The event was starting at 10. I was there by 9:30. So being there by 9:30, uh, they wanted to put things into place. Actually, that space is where I'll be hosting my next event tomorrow. There, so like they wanted to put things into place, and I offered to help out. I did that after the first 30 minutes when people were arriving. Now they thought I was in charge. Yeah. So they were asking me question, and most of the question they were asking me ilikuwa towards the art part, and I was like, let me stick on art today. Then I did my first canvas, and what it was, I am pursuing computer science in Kenyatta University. I have been in hackathon. Yeah, I've been in hackathons, and to be honest, I normally experience imposter syndrome when like that is like, and that was my environment in campus, and I really didn't enjoy it. Like you be in an environment whereby you are looking forward to live or be given a break to eat, you know, but nothing else. But being in that environment, we painted the whole day, we were listening to music, and we were sharing life stories, and I felt so alive. I really felt so alive, and I experienced the healing. So when I left that space, I went and bought a sketching book, and I started drawing like on a daily basis. They were pathetic. I'll show them to you. They really were pathetic. It's something that I don't know. It's something that I wouldn't post today. Today I will work on my best piece, but I wouldn't even post. Like, but that thing is something that I wouldn't be proud of that thing, but and I was doing it on a daily basis. And with that journey, I experienced consistency. I experienced putting things into action. I experienced being in tune with yourself. I experienced being present. I experienced being a human, you know. I experienced that. And like when I'm talking about being present is now not worrying about the future or the past. You're just there and you're experiencing the moment. I wasn't getting that when I was coding. When I was coding, like this thing has to work out. When it doesn't work, you are frustrated. That was the only experience I was going through, like frustration when things are not working out, and then maybe excitement when things are about to work out. So I'm just focusing on the result. Then when it turns out dope, and then hooray. But that is not the life that I really wanted to live. So experiencing this artwork, and then when I started pursuing it, God alituma tu watu, those pieces that they were buying, God alikuwa ametuma watu, like ile yenye your passions is your passion, I would say, oh, your passion, yani, oh, it was the first time I interacted with something that loved me back. It was taking care of me in unimaginable ways, like in terms of my mental journey, my emotional experience with it. Kuna certain form of fulfillment. You see those three pieces, I did them like consecutively on consecutive nights. And when I was like, my house didn't have artwork, so when anytime I was like, where I wasn't staying in this place, so where I was sleeping, after painting, I will just place it on a tripod, and then I will light on the blue lights, and then I will sleep. So when I wake up, I just look at it, and it was something very, very fulfilling. So that fulfillment, I kind of felt like, if you were to subtract that experience in my life, how will my life be? And when I started talking to people, asking people, what are they passionate about? What are you into? And when I'm finding people who don't have answer for that, and I'm noticing like what they are missing, and I just kind of felt like, this thing that I find it so fulfilling, I want it to be like, I want it like to love me back for the rest of my life, even when I have the family. So when I have the family, I know the responsibility will be heavier, so I need like to scale and scale and scale. And I found ways. One was podcast through conversation, advocating for visual art through mental health. So I'm so heavy on mental health, because now what art did to my mental health is what changed my perspective. If I was to remove that artwork, I would be in another direction, and it would be a frustrating life or a devastating life. And I will be focused on numbers. Maybe earlier my agenda was, I just get a good paying job, and but with artwork, like, I experience growth. Like, this is like, when I look at it, I just, now it's been a minute since I did any of them, but evidently I see growth. I experience growth here, and even if you are confident, even on YouTube, from 1 subscribers to the number of subscribers I have, that is still growth, and like, I embrace growth with this journey. So that is how I connect it with mental health. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
And also,
I'm not an artist. I'm not gifted in that, area. So it's quite good to see, connection with mental health, and I love the fact. Actually, I do envy artists, so to speak. By the way, because
please do.
because I do think that you guys have, the opportunity to express what you feel through something without saying it. You know how amazing that's actually really amazing. It's not everybody who does that, because, man, if I look at myself, I'm like, yo, I'm the kind of person who's more expressive. Like, I'll say it in words rather than, expressing it through art. But I find it to be, quite nice and quite good, and, such an it's such an intimate moment. Yeah, it's such an intimate moment. Like, it's something that nobody can come and take it away from me.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, you're the one who knows what this art means to me and why it was being drawn, or painted, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. In your journey in using art, especially to advocate on mental health, is there any experiences that you've had where you've helped someone?
I would say I'm not sure, but the feedback that I would say, in terms of social currency, the fact that in terms of social currency, art has done something. It has done something in terms of, there is this form of trust that people got from my pieces. There are those things that I expressed unknowingly, and they connected with, and maybe it build a conversation from there. And also, there is this perspective they had about me. The way you've said, like, artists get to express something without talking. And when I'm looking at my artwork, that piece, that one might be the only piece that I was in the moment. That is why I'm unable to finish it, because I've been unable to go back to that moment. But majority of others was purely for aesthetic. But there are people who really connected with it and started, maybe others got motivated by just seeing the growth, and they implemented it on different spaces. There are those people, I was talking to people who were even coding, and they were like, they are motivated with my consistency, like that growth. I was doing shitty pieces, by the time I was like, and I was consistent posting them on a daily basis, and it was making sense to me then. Now it's not, but then it was really really making sense. And there are people who were just observing that, and they were applying them in their areas. That is what I'm saying. There are those like, it loved me back in terms of, there are those people who just bought the art pieces because they wanted to support me financially. They just wanted to have the piece in the house, not because it was very outstanding, or but they just wanted to do that. So I would say that is one of the way. Another way, that now that this is something I'm working on, another way is this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, this it led to something like this. So sometimes I just paint with my guests, and there are people who connect with, and also just with this storytelling. It's something that is rooting from the my art journey, I would say. And also now we are coming up with the committee I shared with you, whereby now we'll be sharing this experience that I experienced as an individual alone. Now we'll be experiencing it with people. Now we'll come and paint. Maybe it won't touch you the way it touched me. For me, I had that experience on one day, and I became an artist out of that experience. There is someone maybe who will just heal that day. Yeah, there are cases whereby I see people. There was a video. Wait, should I say this? People cry after the session while to a point, like, now I don't get, but I know it is genuine. Like, they're crying, like what they've experienced, how they've felt. And I always forget that sometimes it is someone's first time experience in those places. It was a big thing to me. I do forget that. But when I see people now, I always try to reconnect and now get what they're really, really experiencing. So say that is one of the ways that I know it has helped people, but I believe it is helping people out there.
When do you have this event? I want to come to one.
You want to come to one?
Please do invite me if
Okay.
there is any
Yeah.
that is available.
I
I
will.
think it's quite interesting. Wow, that's wow. The other question that still wanted to ask is still related to the same topic is, I mean, yes, you do have, the events that you've talked about where people draw the art and everything else. Have you ever had experiences where somebody was hesitant not to come to the event simply because they're not an artist? And if so, what generally do you tell them? Is it the fact that they have to know how to draw, or is it a matter of expression? When you're in during this particular events, and when you're talking about mental health and people expressing themselves, what usually happens? Is that like at some point where people are worried, they don't know how to paint really well, and how do you make them come out of that particular shell and be able to, paint
So I'm the one
or
now.
draw?
I'm the one now who is always unable to paint when I host events. Magically, people know how to paint. Like, okay, let's start with now. I'm inviting someone, and they kind of feel like they don't know how to paint, so it might not be conducive for them. What I normally tell them, it's about expression, as you've mentioned, and it's about curiosity.
Huh?
Art is just about, it's like taking that risk with a paintbrush, painting yellow, painting blue, painting red. It might be ugly. It might be ugly. It might be, but just curious to see what this thing will turn out to. Just curious to see what this thing will turn out to. And maybe they will come. Now, when they come, the pieces that these people normally get out with, like, people are artists out here to a point, like, yeah, people are artists, like, they normally do crazy work. And from my experience, all the events that I've hosted, anyone who painted something, maybe there are those people who are suffering with self-doubt, and comparing their work, but I always advise them not to. Don't look at other people's work. Just if you're going to use a reference image, maybe from Pinterest, go with it and stick with it, and maybe I'll guide you. I will do a sketch. If you need a perfect cup, I will do a sketch for you, and then you just fill in the paint, and it always appear magic. It is always something else. But I would say, like, people normally astonish me, like the pieces they normally come with, best pieces that I've ever come with, and you get that it is their first time they're doing that. That is why I was very confident to be an artist after my first painting. And I'm noticing, like, the people who had best pieces than I had, but they were not in tune with what I was in tune to. So, and I've seen also hosting event, people coming up with the best pieces that maybe I can't even attain today after doing art for a while, and it was their first time, but they had just their different experience. Yeah, that is what I'll say.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Some of the podcast you talked about the fact that you want to relate more to men and
To men.
Yes, to men, specifically, for the fact that how do I say that, the type of gender who normally don't seek for mental health. Now, since you started this particular podcast, so far so good, what would you say has been the influence, especially on your impact in regards to men expressing themselves? Yeah. And do you think it's possible in the first place?
For men to express themselves? Yeah, I would say it is possible, but the question, to who?
Yeah.
Yeah, to who? Now, this to who is what is creating a lot of separation. Like, I feel like it will be easier, as much as we have a connection with you, it will be easier and comfortable for you to get vulnerable with me, and I won't term it as a weakness, even as much as maybe I'm unable to step up, but I believe it will be easier for you. But for men, now to who, I feel like, for even the way men are even advised in church, like men seats and like men groups and everything, like men should just express themselves to other men, and already that is a half of the equation. Like, for a lady maybe to express them to the ladies, I know it's a normal thing. Them also to express themselves to a man, whether this might be the perfect thing. So, like, for the ladies who are on all of it, but for the men it's kind of limited, just for a man, and not only just to any man, to a man who you really trust. So, like, lazima mukue na you've gone beyond surface level relationship, mko na deeper relationship, and not every man has that reason, because the way even the society, and this is misleading, and this is what is happening at the moment, the way things have been designed. Just if I'm to compare, the most of my friends, when they came to campus, by the time they are moving out, they were already moving out, in terms of, like, now they're done with staying in hostels. Second year, most of them, it was up to them to figure out the way they'll be eating, like, it, like, walikuwa prone to kuingia kwa survival mode. It was up to them to figure out how to do things, or going back home, and going back home is like giving up. So most of them had, like, to figure it out. If I was to look at, this is my experience and I stand to be corrected, if I was to look at ladies, many ladies feel even comfortable to stay at the aunt's place. Yeah, they will just be accommodated. Like, for a lady, amefunga shule and maybe transport may delay, go to your aunt's place. It is a common thing. But for a guy, like, you just have to, most of it, like, you have to figure it on your own, and already maybe they are in spaces, maybe a romantic relationship, I would say, whereby already there is a certain way maybe they need, like, to step up, like, now to look at the life with a lot of individuality. So just being in that space, unapata the only people they have to express to themselves, it's kind of limited already. Parents have kind of cut you off kiplani already. With the relatives now it's something else, and guys who get comfortable to go at the relatives, inakuja na a lot of entitlement enye I genuinely don't want to experience. So like I wanted to just create that space also for men, but I'm heavy on human also. Like I'm giving that space to men, and I'm saying giving that space to men, but it is very, very open to ladies. And the main reason I'm doing that also, it's just to show men how this thing is possible. Like ladies are doing it comfortably and we are having fun. So you too, you can come and we do it. And as much as it has been, I'm sure when I'm to look at the numbers, it's almost close, or even ladies might be more than the men, because also to get a man to come and sit with you, not all the men are self-aware, or not every man is comfortable to do that, you know. So that is one of the reasons that it is influencing that. But I will say it is possible for men uh, to express themselves, but the environment now is, it's difficult to find, because it still hasn't been normalized. As much as I will even a lady will tell me like, I'm your boyfriend, just share with me. But to be honest, perspective changes. Like kuna this certain form of weakness, like you just see it sometimes in their face. Ama it might be too much for them. It might be too much for them, like too much for them to handle, to a point that I came to notice not everyone knows how to love. They might be intentional of loving you, but some of us might fail, maybe for a lady to love you now for that. After now opening your closet, now inakuwa so hard, unapata they can't take it.
Okay, so
And
how can
what is your take before that? What is your experience with men expressing themselves? What is your take on that?
T for tough?
T for tough.
Yeah, T for tough. I think I don't know, but let me just speak from the experiences of the men who have been around me. I think matters concerning self-awareness in men, I don't want to say it's problematic, but it's not something that they often think about mostly. It's not something that, you know, would come consciously into their mind, or they have a random thinking like, oh, by the way, how have I been behaving of late? You know, it's not something that will come, you know, intricately. So my experiences of seeing men opening up is that they open up when they are most vulnerable. And the thing is that it's not at the time where they wanted actually to open up. It's just that they were left with no option and then they decided to open up. Mm-hmm. Which to me, considering the fact that I have a relationship with these people, be it that they're my clients or, you know, either my siblings or family relationship or any other, is that sometimes it doesn't have to get to that way for you to open up. But then also at the same time, I came to realize that, you know, there's differences of how men perceive things and how women perceive things. Yeah. And I've come to realize that also, you know, women, we are very directive. If we want to be supported in a certain way, we will express ourselves and say, when I'm talking to you about this thing, I don't want to tell me you're right or wrong. I just want you to tell me, oh babe, I'm so sorry. I understand where you're coming from, you know, and that suits them. But then for men, they don't necessarily express themselves on how they want their safe space to be provided, especially by either women that are around or even their fellow men. So actually, one of the questions I was about to ask is now, how can these safe spaces be created? What do you think needs to be done on sensitization of mental health in creating safe spaces for men?
For men.
Without judgment.
Without judgment. I would say, like us men ourselves and society in scope, we should create this space whereby when something happened to a lady, we kind of feel like it's our responsibility. We should, when something happens to a, I'll just give you an example. When I let's assume we are dating, and when we are dating, then we break up, or then I cheat on you. Mm-hmm. when I cheat on you, you go to your girls, they will be so mad at me, very mad at me. Yeah. But when you cheat on me and I go to my guys, they'll be like, you are stupid. We told you, like I am the, is it making sense? Like,
yes.
yeah, like what I will get is that I was the stupid one, like I was the blind one, I was the simp. They'll say I'm a simp, yeah, they'll say I'm a simp. So already that environment, it's one of the reason why it will be difficult for a man to express themselves, because this is pain they're going through, a hurt, but when they appear there as a victim, they're still considered as a stupid perpetrator, and on your end, like, things will be seen for what it is seen. That is one of the reason. Another reason, a good example is another relationship. We are dating, we are supposed to be seeing one another. Maybe you stay in Langata, I stay in Kawaskari. You're supposed to be seeing one another maybe on a weekly basis, every Friday in the evening. Then one of the Fridays, I'm not financially okay. I'm unable to show up maybe. From my experience, what I've noticed, many men will lie in that case. Will just come up with something like, oh, okay, I will get. But for a lady, you are honest, you will say like, maybe the main reason you will be unable to show up and because of transport. If I'm willing to help, I can help. But for a man, the main reason, many men wouldn't say that. After they get it from their friends, or they not telling you. It's because at the moment I do that, kuna certain boundary, like kuna place already ushaingia. So when you enter that place, it sometimes it might emanate with, it depends also with the level of the relationship, but sometimes it comes with disrespect. Sometimes it just comes with disrespect. So that is why many men would prefer to lie than to appear weak. To tell you the truth, that sometimes I don't want even your money, but telling you that the main reason I'm not coming is because of that. Also, men are very attractive when they acquire resources. So that is one reason also. You just see your men unattractive when they are naturally unable to, like, showing you that they are incapable of taking care of their transport to come. Kuna certain form of weakness in not being able to mobilize resources. So that is one of the reasons also men are unable to express themselves, because nimekuja nikapata this form of expression it's when things are not going good in life, and these things not going good in life, utapata tu majority of it ni financially. Most of it ni financial reason. Now this one also, I feel like it is something that, as much as like ninasema another gender, it's the way now the society is, the way the society has been designed, the way kuna this definition of who a man is, who a woman is. It's also now creating a lot of separation. Men just want to show up with the ego, and they want someone who can massage them. And the people who are willing to massage that ego, kuna transaction, and this transaction is resources. Okay, now the solution to it, it's something that now, which is another reason, which is the solution, it's the way I'm going to put it out. It's one of the reason also that is making men not to express themselves. The solution is, if a lady was to show up today and tell me that they are struggling with getting into a relationship, and most probably the way itakuwa ni kweli, many men out here, dog, that is why you can't get a relationship. But when a guy was to show up and to tell me that they're struggling with relationship, most of our advice are go work on yourself. Yeah, go and work on yourself. Like, hey bana, you're not even driving na unataka mapenzi. You're not even, itakuwa work on yourself. Not driving, but most of it itakuwa work on yourself. But now this is the solution. The solution is maybe our identities. And this applies to all genders. At the moment, maybe our identities itakuwa something that it's rooted in within. to a point that maybe this is when we connect ourselves with God. When we identify ourselves with values, big values like gratification, gift of the Holy Spirit in general, kindness, faithfulness, and when our values is rooted on that, our identity is rooted on that, you will be in a safe space whereby whether the material stuff are in or are not, you see yourself as a human being, you see yourself as a man. So this, in case maybe I am dating someone and things goes astray and I lose my job, I won't see myself as a lesser human. Most cases, many men will feel as a lesser human. Even the way they're going to show, many divorce will happen when now the lady is earning more. But this is rooted in identity. When we have stronger identity, and I don't identify myself with the outward materials, because this outward material is what is killing our identity, and it's killing the expression part. But when I see myself as a human, someone who is faithful, someone who is kind, someone who is with all those values, when I come and express myself to anyone, despite any genders, I wouldn't feel weaker just because I've done that. But because we have wrong identities, now we feel weaker because we have this assumption that this is how we've been seen, you know. Yeah, so I would say to working on our identity, having that strong understanding and strong grasp of what our identity is and equipped with good values. With that, I would feel less, you'll feel comfortable to talk about, to be vulnerable. You know, when you have a lot of insecurity, it's so difficult for you to be vulnerable. But when you're so secure with yourself, you'll address something that it's so vulnerable. You'll talk even about your weaknesses and you won't feel weak. You'll know like you're adding value to yourself by touching those places. So I would say it's us working on our identity. It goes back to an individual responsibility. And because the main reason I won't put this responsibility to the society, because there is nothing like a society. I was telling one of my friends, there was a case that a lady was sexually assaulted in a place, and people heard the scream of the lady at night. And the morning, maybe the morning they come and the lady was dead. And people were surprised, like no one called, no one called. And when most of them were asked, why did any one of you made a call, they were like, because no one. And I was expecting someone to call, like I was expecting someone to make a call. And that is what happened when you leave the responsibility to the society, like tutaingia tu kwa shimo. So society is us. So as an individual, if I work on my identity, I be comfortable and I start expressing myself, many people will start, kuna other people who will now start feel confident. Now Martin is doing it, Nani is doing it, Nani is doing it. And that is what I'm also trying to do with the podcast. Yeah.
Well, safe spaces are quite an interesting topic amongst men, and most of the time when I ask them about, how would they want that safe space to be created, every time they said that it shouldn't come with judgment, which is fine. But then most of the time I keep asking myself, where do you draw the line between judging and giving criticism? Because there is good criticism either way.
Mm-hmm.
And I know most of the time, especially in women, when we give each other safe spaces, I know it's always about that we support.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the thing is, within a set group of friends or women, there's some who would support and there's some who would give criticism. Actually, it's like, as much as your crying is fine, and maybe you did this guy did this, but also you necessitated this to happen as well. So there is a part that you have played as well. So as you mentioned, that men love their ego being massaged.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, in providing the safe space, at what point do you give criticism? Because criticism
Constructive
criticism, because it's important to be somebody checking you and telling you, yes, how much has this and this is happening. Also, you got yourself into this mess because you're the one who drove yourself into the pit. Not in a bad way, but it's true. So the next time is, how do you remove yourself from it? Actually, let me just restructure that question. So the question is, well, providing men safe spaces, is it a fact of just allowing them to speak and not saying anything? Or is it just a matter of allowing them to figure it on their own? Like when you talk about that men wants to have safe spaces, I keep asking myself, what exactly is a safe space for a man? You know, it's never brought up very clearly like this is exactly what I want it to be. There's some who are expressive enough to say, you know, this is what I would love my safe space to feel like when I'm sharing. But then also at the same time, there's also the other aspect of a man having to figure it out before they share.
Sure.
So um, would you call that what's the right word I wanted to use? Would you call that as something that, you know, either inhibits men from expressing themselves? And if so, how can they be able to bring in a difference?
The difference.
Yeah, difference where you say that I'm going through something while I'm trying to figure it out. I don't want to share a lot, but I just want you to know this is what I'm going through right now. Or the other perspective of I'm not sharing anything because I'm trying to figure it out by myself. At the end of the day, I'm a man and I have to figure it out. So where do you draw the line? Where do you get these differences as per se? And then still related to my first question, which was how would men want safe spaces to be created for them, especially by women?
By women.
Yeah, how do you want that?
How do you want that? I would say, to me, first, a safe space will be like a space where you are allowed to, not allowed, you allow yourself to be in touch with your feelings. Because I see it as most of it is emanating from emotional foundation. So being in touch with our feelings. So it can be anger, it can be disappointment, it can be frustration, it can be sadness. So this like first working like that is what a safe space will be to me. So getting a place where you can be angry, being angry to a lady, we can get divorced.
But it doesn't always have to go through that route, you know?
So
it's not always that every time, you know,
you have to
you're angry or
express it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, the reason why I'm talking about expression is I know expression in women and men is very different. So now the question is, how can men express themselves in such a way that it will be regarded as a safe space?
As a safe space.
Yeah, because the thing is, I've listened to a couple of women podcasts, even in Kenya, where they talk about, you know, my mom can share anything, but then again, it comes to a point where they share too hard, and I'm like, bro, I don't need to know that, you know. It's just like you're sharing too much. Now I'm starting to think of you like maybe you have more feminine traits. So the question is, but this is a topic that I feel when being discussed is not how do I say, there's no solution that comes into the table because it's like all wrapped up, mixed up, confused. I don't even have words to express it truly.
But talking about it more is what brings this clarity out. I would say sometimes,
yes, sometimes, but not all times.
Or eventually that is where we are heading to, because we are coming from a space where we were not even considering like now a man should have a safe space. We talked about that thing wasn't making sense to a point. Now a man having a safe space, I would say like 70% makes sense. That those people who still disagree with that, then it will reach a point whereby now we'll be defining what safe space is. There are those people who have figured it out. Yeah, but as I said, safe space is being able to get in touch with the emotions. About angry, not also in a careless way. You know, not also in a careless way, and that applies to all genders. Not also in a careless way. And the main reason I'm still why we'll just be still advised to go and work on ourselves, because this awareness, you know, like even like just being aware of what anger is, embracing what anger is, but it doesn't mean I have now to be to react to it, or to like now to act it out, you know. So like I feel like this thank God we are having a conversation. I feel like safe space, it's all about emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
Yeah, like with emotional intelligence and identity, as I said, with better emotional intelligence, I feel like as much as I feel like the we can have one type of a lady who is maybe is with man A and man B. Man A can cry in front of them, and still the masculinity part of it is preserved.
Mhm.
And man B can cry in front of them, and 100% of feminine energy is out there. I feel like what is creating the difference? Okay, she can be like, if she's able to also still see the masculine part of man A, there is awareness. There is awareness she has. So this is a very aware person. But what creates the difference, I feel like, how emotionally aware man A is. Because if we are just talking about now expressing ourselves, kuna the careless part which now can freak people out. Because now you can freak even your friend. If I'm this type of a person, anytime I'm on a financial strain, I reach out to every guys, hey, unaweza nitumia post, you'll push them away. But emotional intelligence, I guess, sometimes even just observing your experience, being patient with yourself, things like silence, just being patient with yourself and then putting yourself together. I feel like from that space, you'll see the need of doing that or not. And I'm saying in this case, when you don't see the need of doing that, it means it's not a burning issue. So you can live with it in a healthy way. Then when it is a burning issue, now you put, because they say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I feel like this silence give you a room of now how to say it. And maybe one of the reasons why men are not expressing themselves, it's because of how to say it. 2 years back, I did a podcast a month ago on why men should rest, why rest is important. I was confident on each and everything I was saying, and I was so comfortable doing that because of the awareness I've gotten over the years. But 2 years back, I wouldn't host something like that. I didn't know why. I didn't know why a man should rest. But saizi confidently, kuna things like estrogen that we get by just resting. So it even impact the man in you. We need those type of hormones. So, and many other things, like those are the awareness I got over the years. So I would say another reason why men don't express themselves also, I feel like maybe we are not that emotionally aware. Yeah. So that is why you will also feel like guilty after expressing yourself, because maybe you express yourself inappropriately to a point you freak someone out and you saw it. So we feel guilty, and then we kind of feel like maybe we are not heard. But I know there are men who cry. I've seen podcasts of men cry, and I don't feel like they're lesser men. But I've seen cases where a man cries, and I felt like she was a woman. And okay, but they putting in scope a woman and cover, I'm devaluing women, but it was inappropriate. I would say it was inappropriate. And there was a case it was appropriate because he was emotionally aware, and he knew how to articulate that emotion and share with you the experience to a point you connected with them. You also felt like crying, and that is someone's dad. So we say maybe emotional intelligence and having their own identity. It's what is holding us back. So it goes back maybe to personal responsibility.
So this is a perspective of both a man and a woman.
A man and a woman.
Interesting, very interesting indeed.
Yeah. You as a woman, are you struggling with expressing yourself?
Of course. What do you mean? It's not a man's issue. It's an it's I think it's an individual's issue, depending on what the scenario is. It's easier for a woman such as I to express myself easily. I think when we get frustrated, we just express. I think we've seen several women expressing themselves even on social medias on some of the problems that they're facing, and maybe even some of the things that probably the public shouldn't know. Now they know about it. However, now the question lies in, yes, you can express yourself, but the question is, are you expressing yourself To whom are you expressing yourself to? That's the question.
Are you expressing yourself to?
Mhm.
You did.
Because before a woman gets to that particular position, that's the time when they're most vulnerable. So this means that whoever you share this information with, they have an opportunity either to hold a knife and stab you in the back,